Hello and welcome. I'm Jake, and today I wanted to talk about the PASGT with detachable liner. But before we get into the helmet, I wanted to detail kind of what Surplus Oddities is going to be about and why it kind of exists. So basically, the idea of Surplus Oddities is to give me a series of videos that I can talk about the weird, odd, and interesting things in my collection. Whether it be the literal design of the thing is interesting or odd, or its use history was odd, was found in a place where you wouldn't really think it would be used, something along those lines. And I have a few pieces in the collection, so there's not going to be a ton of these videos, and they're also usually not going to be that long. Now, some of them might be a little bit longer than others, depending on how much information I can dig up, but today's episode shouldn't be long at all. Unfortunately, there's not a lot known about this helmet in particular, so it is what it is. But moving on to the helmet was designed by Gentex, and that's one thing I can say with confidence. Gentex has a few patents out there, but beyond that, I haven't really been able to figure out kind of the why the helmet exists. There's a few things written on the internet about, and in the book Steel Pots, that kind of reference this idea of eliminating the screw holes on a standard PASGT because they thought that those drill holes would compromise the protective capabilities of the helmet. And I don't know if that's the actual reason, but that's the reason I keep finding. So we're going to kind of go with that, so take that with a grain of salt. Before we put it on the table and I give you guys a nice close-up, kind of give you guys, I can show you taking it apart and all that. I don't take it apart often. The plastic is a little on the brittle side. I don't want to break it. But I'll show you guys how it takes apart, how the liner looks. It looks a little bit different than a standard PASGT liner beyond just the detachable nature of it. Before we get to that, I wanted to take a look at the tag itself because it's kind of unique in its own way. Its contract code is unique that you don't usually see. Most people at least wouldn't see that. It would probably throw them off a little bit. All right, so now I have a close-up view of this contract tag, or just tag in general. You can see that it is PASGT helmet with detachable liner. It's a medium, Gentex Corporation at the bottom, and you can see the contract code. And you're probably wondering what M00264 is. That is the Marine Corps Regional Contracting Office. So we know that this helmet is a Marine Corps project, at least based on that code. And the Regional Contracting Office is out of Quantico, Virginia, or at least nowadays it is. I'm not sure if in the 80s it was. I'm assuming it didn't change since then, but you never know. Just putting that out there. And it was issued in 1981. Doesn't mean the helmet was designed in 1981 or that the project commenced in 1981. It just means the contract was. I've seen a few things written online that it was more of a late 80s, maybe mid to late 80s project. So that kind of stays in line with some of the other projects the Marines were working on in that time frame. The first that comes to mind is the MC-140 series. Those all have 1981 contracts, or at least some of them do. And those kind of start showing up towards the mid-80s, 84, 85, 86. So it's kind of in line with that. And that's about as much information that I've been able to scrape up to give you guys for this helmet. So without further ado, we might as well get this on the table. I'll set up my camera so you guys have a better view. And I can take it apart, show you guys how it looks. And that's pretty much it. And then we'll wrap it up and that will be the video. So let's do it.
Okay, so starting off, you can see the shell is painted black. Not sure if these are all painted black. I'm pretty sure they weren't, but this one happens to be. As you can see, its profile is the same, roughly, as a standard PASGT. There's a little bit of a difference there. Obviously, on the back, there's a little snap that holds the liner in place. And just kind of showing all the sides here. Flipping it upside down, we get a good look at the liner. It features both a brow and a nape pad instead of a standard headband, and also has a PASGT-style suspension in the middle. I took the chin strap off for this part, but this helmet came with a cotton chin strap as opposed to the later updated nylon reinforced chin strap. Unsure if this is original to the helmet, but this could date the helmet prior to the changeover to the new chin strap in 1986. Moving on over to taking the helmet apart, first step is to unsnap the rear snap. This is very familiar to anyone who has taken the liner off a CVC helmet. Once you pop the snap, and you can kind of just wiggle the liner off and it'll come right off the edge of the helmet. It's definitely easier to take this off than it is to put it back on. I'll set the shell aside and we can take a closer look at the liner. You can see that the liner is molded to the shape of the shell, kind of, and the suspension is very close to the standard early suspension for the PASGT helmet. It is different in how it attaches to the liner, and it obviously, again, lacks a headband. And I'll flip it again to get a better view of that, and I'll move these straps out of the way. As I stated earlier, instead of a headband, it has a brow pad and a nape pad. They both have very little cushion to them, so I'm not sure how comfortable they would be long term. Both pads also have hook and loop on the back, so you can take them off. I'm just going to leave these ones attached, but one can assume that you could replace them fairly easily. Overall, the liner is pretty well constructed. I do think the plastic is a little bit on the weaker side, so I'm not sure how long it would hold up. So putting the liner off to the side and picking up the shell, you can see it's actually pretty close to, say, an unfinished PASGT before the rubber edge is added to it. I'll throw up a close-up, again, of both the tag and the Gentex sticker, and then this is an attempt to show the size and mold stamp along with the Gentex maker stamp on the inside of the helmet. And then on the back, you just see the snap. Again, very similar to a DH-132 shell. Okay, so let's put this thing back together. You have to first put the front of the liner on the front edge of the shell and then kind of pull it back into itself. This can be very tricky, and I'm trying to be as careful as possible because I don't want to crack the plastic. And this is also very hard to capture on camera, so hopefully you guys are getting a decent idea of how this all comes back together. After you fiddle around with it for a little bit, it will fall kind of into place and seat correctly, and then you just have to put the rear snap back into place, and it's good to go. So that is the close-up of the PASGT helmet with detachable liner. Compared to the standard PASGT of the same size, which weighs about 3 pounds 8 ounces, this helmet altogether only weighs 3 pounds 4 ounces, with the shell being the bulk of it at 2 pounds 13.4 ounces and the liner only weighing a mere 6.6 ounces. So you have a little bit of weight savings compared to a standard, but not much. So that's pretty much it for this. Let's just wrap up the video and call it a day.
Okay, so that is the PASGT helmet with detachable liner. Now, yeah, it's pretty weird. I'm not going to lie. I don't think this thing would have lasted at all in the field. I think after a while it would have just snapped, broken into pieces. The plastic is not the strongest. I try not to take it apart ever, basically, because I don't like risking breaking the plastic. And whether or not it would have lasted in the field with some improvements, I don't know. I don't know the testing on it. I don't know if it even got to testing, or if they just took a look at it and said, yeah, this is not going to work. Who knows? But it's a great piece to have in the collection. I'm glad I have it. I'm glad I can show it off to you guys, because I've been wanting to show it off to you guys for like a while now. But that being said, I do have some other video ideas in the works. I have a couple of videos already in the scripting process. They've been in the scripting process for a while now, and I apologize that I've been kind of slow on videos, including 6 seconds or less, which are surprisingly harder to write than you would think. And I have a couple ideas on that front, but I'm not sure if those are going to be just made into full-length videos. We'll see. But the next video I hope to have out soon is a video detailing how to read tags, all the things that you'll see with the tag, FSN, NSN, the fiscal year, the change of fiscal year from July to October in the 70s, those little details, and then try to cover some of the contract codes like this one had that are kind of different, come from a different office or issuer within the government, and kind of talk about why those exist a little bit, or where they're from, and what to look out for, and the ones that are unique or the ones that are actually more common than you realize, things of those nature. So hopefully that will come out soon. No promises. I'll do my best, and hopefully you guys like the Surplus Oddities format. Comment down below if you like it. It's faster nature. It's a faster paced video. It's a different nature compared to like other videos I plan on doing, because I don't have a lot of information to go off of. But with all that being said, thanks for watching.